Hey everyone, welcome back to Navigating Gluten-Free. I'm Fawn and we're just figuring out how to navigate this gluten-free life together. Okay, so what I have going on today is I wanted to talk about a visual example of gluten. And this can be kind of confusing, like, okay, so is wheat gluten? How can you have a gluten-free part of wheat? And it can be really confusing if you don't actually know what it looks like. So that's what I have going on here today. So I have this is just a boiled egg and I've cut it in half, and I wanted to use the parts of the egg to demonstrate the parts of gluten. All right. So the yolk we're going to call the gluten. Okay. And then this white is what we're going to refer to as the wheat starch. And then the shell is just like on whole wheat, right? Where you have the outer shell here. Okay, give me 1 second and we will demonstrate exactly whole wheat, all right? 1, 2, 3. There you go. This is whole wheat. Whole wheat flour is just mushed up, all the shells and everything together. All right, that is whole wheat right there. Do you see how the yolk has gone all over the place? Remember, this is the gluten that we're talking about, right? So that shell has gone all over the place. And all the parts of this are completely combined. This has got gluten. This is not gluten-free. Okay, so now let's take a look at how we might, let's call this one all-purpose flour. All right, I actually do want to eat most of these eggs when we're done here, so we're going to try to keep the shells out. All right, so this one I've shelled it so we don't have that outer part in here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to do the same thing. This right here, this is whole. This is all-purpose flour, right? So you have the white and you have the yolk. Okay. So you got gluten all over the place still, right? So now let's try to make a gluten-free wheat. So if what we do is we open it up, we pop out that gluten. And then we pop out this gluten. All right, so we're going to do the whole egg. And then, see the insides of this? They have a bunch of residue from that yolk, right? This is what you would call wheat starch. So this is the part of the wheat that has no gluten in it, but if you smash up the whole thing, you get this big mess of gluten. But this still has some gluten in it. So that's why when you go to the store and you see something that says wheat starch, and if it doesn't say gluten-free wheat starch, it is not gluten-free. It does not conform. But if what we did instead was we wiped it all out, rinsed it off a bunch, and then made sure all the gluten was out, we could have gluten-free wheat starch. But you have to be really careful when talking about gluten-free wheat starch. You need to make sure that it's labeled and not just that it says gluten-free, okay? It needs to be labeled gluten-free wheat starch. There's something about how the proteins get mixed up in there, and they get the gluten strand gets kind of torn apart, and so it can not be detectable on some testing. So certain testing is needed for that, and so you want to make sure that it is labeled certified gluten-free whenever you use gluten-free wheat, okay? But gluten-free wheat is something that celiacs are able to do as long as it's handled the proper way, as long as it is processed in the right way. And I hope that this visual example of how that works has helped you out. Now, if you're just starting out and you're looking for a big list of what's gluten-free, how do I know what's gluten-free, I'm going to go ahead and link down below a link to my website, and it's got a huge list of just about every product you can ever think of and whether it's gluten-free or not. But I've actually gone further in depth than that. I actually have 5 different categories that is ranging from always safe to is absolutely never safe, and that way you can make your decisions when choosing your gluten-free foods a little bit easier. All right. Make sure you subscribe so you get notifications, and we will see you around next time. Bye.